Let's have it right. In food inflation, okay? What the Office for National Statistics, which is supposed to be unbiased, nothing to do with anyone else, independent. Yep, BS, I think, absolutely, right? The true figures of what they're saying about inflation regarding food is ridiculous. Now, some of us have been deep diving and looking into this, and you can even do it at a very easy base level. Now, personally, what I like to do is when I do a shop, and most of it's like prep orientated items, so your tins, your packets, your powdered stuff, the stuff that lasts for quite a while, which doesn't need refrigeration or any freezer use, okay? Stuff like that's long-term stored stuff. Now what I always do is I keep the receipts and I try to keep them in order, okay? And what I tend to do over 2 or 3 years, I look at the prices and I look at the prices I'm looking at today. I'm using Tesco's as an example because I've always really used Tesco's. There's always been one near where I live and they usually have everything that I need under one roof. Very convenient, okay? Now, like I say, look at the figures which they're putting out there about what they believe is the inflation about food. Now, like I said, some of us have looked into this, and the truth as an average is over 50% inflation since 2020 or even 2021. It's very easy to do this with yourself, okay? So you go there, you get all of your prep items, you get your receipts, and you look at them 2, 3, 4 years later and look at the price difference. So yeah, in the last 2 years alone, it's gone up over 50%. So when they do budgets and stuff, and when they announce national inflation, guess what 2 things are missed out of inflation? Food and fuel. And look what's been going up over the last couple of years. Just before 2020, so right at the end of 2019, diesel for 1 litre was under £1. And we saw that go up to £2 or indeed over £2 in recent months, okay? Food is no different. So you look at buying certain items at tins or packets like we discussed earlier, back in 2019 and 2019, sorry. If you look back at them times, and there's massive differences. Like I said, on average, it looked like it's around and over 50%. So we are looking at mass BS, like most of us know, but there's loads of people waking up to this big, huge global lie, which is being pushed by the mainstream media. Don't forget, the mainstream media is a very highly efficient, well-polished, organised and massively funded organisation, which some people believe is run by 6 people throughout the entire world, okay? So if they control the information that you read and which you see, you're pretty much going to believe just that. It doesn't take much to dig around and look into it yourself of what's really going on. So rule number 1, don't believe the mainstream media. If you do, you're insane. If you still question it since 2020, you need serious help, okay? Lots of people are waking up and realizing that this was absolute BS. Everything pushed out by the mainstream media is BS, okay? If you want to look into it further, I've got a good friend of mine, his name's Neil. Some of you already know him on YouTube as Neil McCoy Ward. He has done lots of analysis and in-depth studies, and if you want to follow on Patreon, he goes into real deep dive exposing the truth about inflation in the UK since 2020. You wouldn't believe it, okay? So Tesco. So this was me going into Tesco's the other day, and like I said earlier about all of them barriers, okay? Now, let me tell you this, shoplifting has gone through the roof like I've done on a recent video, and this is one sort of countermeasure to sort of try and slow down the amount of theft which is going on in Tesco. Lots of it, like I said in a recent video, from seriously desperate people who have never shoplifted before. We talked about this, we predicted this at least 2 years ago now, and it's starting to really raise its ugly head and be known out there, okay? It really is a massive problem, and desperate people are stealing just to make sure that themselves and their kids can eat, okay? Food banks, they're literally going under. They're being swamped, okay? And if you want to enroll in a food bank thing, you've just lost your job, you've got to go through the benefit scheme. Man, I'll tell you what, the amount of hoops and information you have to give to them and all of the stuff you've got to do in order to receive a pittance is absolutely disgusting. That is really bad how they treat humanity. This is how much the government loves you, okay? There it is in a nutshell. We can go off on a tangent and say the NHS is basically on its knees and it's half privatised already. Try and get a dentist in if you've got a toothache whenever you want. It's an absolute nightmare. That's how much the government loves you. Okay, so we go on. Now, going back to Tesco's, like I said, I'm using that as a real basic example because lots of people use them and it's something I've got first-hand knowledge and experience of. Okay, now guess how much profit Tesco made leading up to the end of the financial year, okay, this year? £2.5 billion. That's how much profit Tesco have made. So when you look at the amount of staff who are supposed to be manning all of these tills so they can sell as much food as possible, well, guess what? There's just not the staff. In my one, local Tesco's, like I said earlier, there's about 20 tills. Only 3 of them are constantly being used. And one of them is card only, not cash. And the expansion of the self checkout area is disgusting. Okay, I don't really see many people use them because lots of people don't want to be having their biometric data stolen from these cameras, everything tracked and traced, etc. People want to just go in there with cash and buy what they want, an anonymous transaction, privacy, etc. You know, you're handing over all your information to these companies, and it's basically, I'm seeing it as an infrastructure set up for what we're seeing in China regarding the social credit score. Look at the barriers which we saw earlier. It's very easy to modify them, so you won't be allowed in unless you scan your phone with a QR code, especially if they pull off one of these fake pandemics again. They won't let you into the store, okay, to buy food unless you've got the app, because the infrastructure is slowly being rolled out as we speak right now with these barriers in supermarkets. Send me an email if you're seeing barriers in your supermarkets. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, okay? So, like I said before, this is all going crazy. And another thing which is being reported as well, I've been getting emails and I've seen other people talk about this on other social media platforms. There is absolutely real footage, photographs and videos of migrants walking around in our supermarkets in teams of about 4, 6 or 8 of them. They go in there, they help themselves to whatever food they want, they eat it and then they walk out. So is this the sort of society you want to see your kids raised up in the good old Great Britain, where real values mean real values? And this is going on, and it's going on unnoticed and unchallenged, seemingly. Also, there is a massive rise in security. Do you remember what happened in 2020 when you had security guards outside supermarkets with that big social distancing BS queuing up like little sheep in them little caged walkways, and with little arrows and little markings saying you have to stand 2 meters and you have to wear this? It's absolute BS. It absolutely was an amazing big con across humanity, not just the UK but all around the whole planet. Okay, it was insane, and it was a big experiment. They got lots of data from different countries, they rolled out different things and they got different results, all fed back to a central advanced AI quantum computer system, and it's absolutely reading the reality about human behaviour, how easy it was to manipulate so many people. Look into it. If you think I'm talking BS, that's absolutely fine. We all wake up at different times, and I know lots of people watching this are awake, and unfortunately some of you are just finding this information out now, and I do realise it's a massive shock, but nonetheless it's the truth of what's going on. You guys let me know what you're seeing in your supermarkets regarding security and possible first stage infrastructure stages to making sure that they've got barriers and they won't let you in unless you scan with an app, and eventually it's going to be a chip in your hand. That's where it's going. We've talked about this for many years, and it does look like it's slowly but surely coming down the road. What are we going to do about it? Well, I'll tell you, for one, the main thing which all of the governments and WEF and United Nations are worried about, and do you know what that is? Mass non-compliance. Just say no, don't take part in it, don't follow any of these stupid rules. Don't forget, mandate is not law, okay? Look into it and educate yourself, empower yourself, and just do not comply at all. You guys take care. Thanks for watching, and stay funky.